Some squid. He's got it. He's lost it. Let's go see if we can get it back to him. A lot of predators trying to get it. All right. And of course, some amazing true parent cichlid parents. They've managed to raise up, I think, about 15 babies. Okay, so I really did try to get some underwater footage of the 600 reef slope. But all right, as you can see, the Riverbend Aquarium has fish in it. Okay, as you can see for that little montage, there's always lots of things going on in the aquarium domain fish basement. So with this many tanks on any given day, something's going on, and in this video, we're gonna take you through what's going on right now. We know that a little while back we had a breeding, bonanza across the fish basement. Well, as always, there's other things going on. So we're gonna take a look at what's going on with the 125. There's something going on there. We're gonna check out the ugly stage of the 150 Riverbend Aquarium, the new one. Stuff's going on there. Of course, we'll dip in on Predator Bay because, who doesn't want to feed those monsters? And then, we'll take a peek inside the 600-gallon reef slope and the double DIY builds. And maybe we'll go inside those as well. All right, the Malawi River Aquarium. Some people might remember from a recent video, I had to slap on the FX6 because we had a leak in the sump. So, of course, I didn't know where it was leaking from. So, to take precaution, I went ahead and get the power filter running, the canister, so that if I have to turn off the sump to fix it, I have filtration that's already seated and ready to go to keep everybody in here happy and healthy. So luckily, I guess, the leak is actually quite high. So if I just bring the water level down about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, I used to keep the water level all the way up here, and if I just bring it down to here, the leak goes away. So it's somewhere right over here. Unfortunately, this is one of the kind of crappy liners that I had that seemed like it was working, but it's not good quality. You can kind of see in here where it's getting deteriorated. It's kind of crap, so it's probably a matter of time before I have to redo this, but I don't have to redo it right now. So that's a good thing because I got other things going on, but you can imagine in the future this is going to get redone. And yes, that middle section looks a little different. That's right, we're going bog filters. You're going to see in every one of these tanks, all of the sumps are getting bog filter sections in them. And I'm using all different kinds of plants, so kind of see what works best in my fish basement. So we got water poppies, hyacinth, different types of lettuce, frog bit, water spray, you name it. We're going to try everything, and we're going to see what works best with my water, the conditions in my tanks. And, hopefully more than one thing works well. And then I can, have different kinds of plants. Variety, spice of life. All right, let's see if I can entice some African cichlids to have a little bit of food. All right, dinner time in the Malawi Aquarium. As always, watching them eat is awesome. They attack the food because, they haven't been fed twice already today. But in all seriousness, really fun fish to watch. And the key thing is, you notice, whenever you look at this tank, no aggression. I know they're eating right now, but you have to take my word for it. There's no aggression at the other times either. All of these sight breaks and blinds and everything throughout this, heavily planted, wood and rock river tank is working so far. Nobody's an adult yet, so we'll see with time, but definitely so far so good for the first, I don't know, maybe 6 months of the Malawi River Aquarium. All right, now on to Predator Bay. Oh man, this tank, I thoroughly enjoyed having Predator Bay. It's definitely one of the better decisions I think I've made. I remember when I was first building it, I was questioning whether to, build such a large tank in the middle of the room, but it was a good decision, at least for me. I've really enjoyed the heck out of this tank, and it's actually worked out pretty well, the location, everything. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm target feeding the aquarium. Now normally I do what's called broadcast feeding, where I chop up the food, I mix different pieces of food together, and then I just sort of pour it into a spot, kind of in the middle, where everybody, all the fish in the aquarium, they descend on it and they all get some. Now, of course, I'm watching them and I'm making sure that everyone is getting their share, and I do hold back some pieces. So if if for some reason the sharks get overzealous and they take everything, I'll make sure the other fish are going to get their share. Like I said, I'll hold it back and I'll use the tongs and I'll target feed whichever fish didn't get any food from the broadcast feeding. But what I do like to do is target feed them, like you see here, periodically, just to be able to inspect the fish and make sure that there's no growths on them, no anything that, like, health reasons, anything that looks wrong with them as far as health. It gives me a chance to sort of inspect the fish as they're focused on taking the food off the tongs, and you'll kind of notice I'll hold the food a little bit, give myself an opportunity to see them. A lot of times it gets their belly up, facing me, so I can, see the underside. Normally they're swimming by, they're zipping by, and you don't always, see close up on, like, their gills and their underside and everything. So it just gives me an opportunity for that. And it's also when I use, give the vitamins to the fish. So what I'll do is I'll embed the little vitamin pills inside the food, and by target feeding, I keep two different like piles of food, the ones that have the vitamins in it and then the other ones. And so I make sure that each fish gets the appropriate amount of vitamins for the weight of the fish, the size of the fish. And that's something I don't feed them the vitamins every single feeding. They're supplements, every third or fourth feeding, that kind of thing. So that's when I do the target feeding. And quite honestly, it's also just kind of fun. It's a little bit like feeding your dog from the table, they seem so, so happy to get the food, and maybe it's just the interaction with the tongs. It's kind of like, when you're feeding a pet, like, from your fingers versus just putting the food down in a bowl. I don't know what it is, but it is enjoyable. Unfortunately, with the fast-paced life, it's not something I can do every single time I feed them. There's a lot of times, even though I love having all the aquariums and I spend a lot of time, there are certainly days where it's just like, boom, feed the tank, make sure everything, do a quick look, make sure everything looks good, and then move on because you got other things going on in life. So yeah, it's nice to, every third or fourth feeding, to slow it down, get the tongs out, sort of, quote unquote, hand feed everybody in the tank, and both enjoy it and make sure that everyone is healthy and happy. Okay, so sometimes we have a bunch of tanks. The thing going on in the fish basement kind of sucks, like a leak in a sump and a wear and tear on a liner, which means you kind of know you're going to have to be replacing it. It's not that fun. But let's take a look at the Riverbend Aquarium, because this is one of the fun parts, which is starting up a new tank. All right, as you can see, the Riverbend Aquarium has fish in it, and if you're not familiar with the ugly stage, well, this is the ugly stage of setting up an aquarium. Can you guess why? yeah, you gotta remember, it looks horrible now, but it's all part of the process. It's nature doing its job, doing its thing, so it's getting established. It takes a little time to get the nature aquariums going, to get any aquarium going for that matter, but it's well worth it once they get established. So in terms of the water quality being healthy for the fish, that's what's important right now, and it is. Zero nitrite, zero ammonia, but of course, lots of, diatom and excess algae and cyanobacteria, all that from the system getting all started. So let's go ahead and drop down underneath, and you can see we have the bog filter here with wisteria and the duckweed, and everything looking healthy and growing already, which is good. That's doing its job. And in the aquarium, we have new fish, or we have fish, the first fish for this aquarium. So here's the thing, it was crazy, all the great ideas, recommendations people had for, fish options for the aquarium. The thing I ran into is a lot of the good options that I liked, they were kind of like one-off fish, or they were fish that I don't know if I could really pair them with a grouping of fish that I wanted to. So I decided to go with it's South American theme, I guess. So even though these fish are, not necessarily natives, basically it's gonna have a lot of kind of going for color with this aquarium. So these are baby Pinoy blue angelfish. There's a group of 6 of them. So they're gonna be silver, or they're gonna be, like a light blue sheen, black and silver, with kind of big chunky stripes when they get bigger. So that'll be interesting, and I've had them once before and I really enjoyed them. We got a group of 3 of albino threadfin acara, and this is my first time keeping these guys. I've had regular threadfin acara before, which are awesome in their own right, but I wanted to go ahead and give these guys a try, and super excited with them so far. Even as little babies, they are very interesting. And there's a group of 12 orange Von Rio tetra. So basically kind of an orange and red color, nice schooling, or well, shoaling tetra. So something to mix in with these guys when they get bigger. And of course, there's gonna be other fish to come, but I get them in groups. You don't wanna overpower the system. So for now, this is the first batch of fish, and you can expect the next batch of fish for this aquarium to be catfish, plecos, and cory cats. So I think before we leave the Riverbend Aquarium, we should feed these guys. Let's give them a little bit of bug bites, since they're all very small fish. We're gonna go with a nice small food. Really cool with these guys, and from day one, they're, you know, very ferocious eaters. They're not afraid of me being right here in front of the aquarium. They're not afraid of a camera, literally right in their face. Just instant comfort level, which is really cool. So hopefully it's starting off as babies with this level. As they grow up, it should continue. Again, with all of my tanks, there's plenty of aquascapes, so if they feel like they need to retreat, well, probably the tough part would be deciding which cave they want to go into. But as we know with all the tanks, when they have a lot of caves, they don't really stay in. They go in them some, but they're very comfortable and they stay out, and I can enjoy them, which is good. So they're making short work of that, so let's go ahead and jump back and take a look at the 600 reef slope. So I thought we'd take a quick look on the business end of the 600 gallon or the 1500 gallon system, which is the 700 gallon refugium sump. So as you can see, lots and lots of life in there, lots of invertebrates and filter feeding corals, you name it. And of course, lots of live rock and live sand. So the good thing is the protein skimmer now has been off for 6 months or so, and the refugium is keeping up with it. So nitrates have not risen, phosphate has not risen, and they are in good levels because as you'll see in the tank, there's no excess algae, no hair algae, none of that good stuff. So always happy to have a system that can use less energy and be effective and let nature do its job. Okay, so I really did try to get some underwater footage of the 600 reef slope, but these saltwater fish were not having it. As soon as the camera went in, they disappeared. You see this big mob of fish? They all disappeared. It was like nothing was in here, completely empty. I tried to leave it in for a little while, and yeah, they weren't having any of it. So we're gonna have to get a little look at them from outside, and then we'll give them a feeding, because it's always fun to watch these guys feed. So as you know, really all I can say here is that all the fish that got moved over, they're doing great. You know, there was that tiny little bit of aggression the first day. It dissipated after that, and it never came back. And the reef is basically growing in terms of coralline algae. I'm using the Reef Fusion, the 2-part system on this tank. It worked really good on the 150. It's working good here. So yeah, just slowly building it up. Waiting for some of my angels to get big. Now my French angel is getting some size to them, and oh, just looking beautiful. But really looking forward to the queen, the little baby queen there, to get some bigger. And of course, we'll get bigger. The Korean angel back there. Get the Valenge tag, who's going to get huge. He's already getting a little bit of size to him, but yeah, overall, just everybody looking great, very active, very happy. Little trigger, the little liner chewer there. He's loving not being in with the Indian black trigger, I think. He's got this place to himself. It's also nice. I'm really liking the purple tang in here. In the 150, he stayed in the cave a lot. Here, out and about all the time. In fact, you know, all of these guys, the comfort level in this tank is extremely high. So fish are always out and about. The damsel laying eggs all over the side. It's been doing that forever. I'm assuming this is the male over here. They never hatch or anything. I've never seen anything. So they're trying. So who knows? It may happen. But so far, nothing yet. All right, let's give them some food. All right, there is the food ball. Ooh, spooked them a little bit with the camera there. But I think, yep, I had a feeling that being spooked a little bit wouldn't keep them off the food for long. They definitely, they're kind of, honestly, kind of like the African cichlids, the way they feed. They're just pretty aggressive, you know, sort of speed swimming, going from the next piece to piece to piece. But most of them anyways. Oh man. Yeah, this is, like I said, you know, whenever I have to do any serious work on this tank, the height is a bit of a pain in the rear, having to use tongs and everything. But the rest of the time, I just love the height of the tank. I love the depth. And the front to back too. Just really cool tank. Ended up being what I was hoping for, which is something different than I ever had. I never had a salt tank that was, you know, this tall and deep, you know, for these kind of fish. Obviously Predator Bay is humongous, but it's humongous in every direction, so you don't get that same feel. This one really is that real thick, deep, chunky tank, and the way the fish act in it is what I thought they would do, which is A, the comfort level, and B, all the back to front action as well as side to side, and the height too. Like, even though there's so much rock in there, taking up so much space, you look up here at the top, and you've got all this open space, all that open space in the back, you know, in this front over here. And then keeping in mind, it's hard to tell from the front, but we've got, you know, 8 inches of open space all the way across the front of the aquarium and all the way up. So definitely a fun aquarium, and one that's really just getting started, because I honestly haven't even got back to trying to get some anemones and some easy corals going in here. I've just been busy with so many other things. So, you know, the time will come, and then I'll work on it. So it's cool to have something to look forward to play with in the future, and it's only going to make this tank look better and better as it matures. The 750 Amazonian Islands build. Well, as you can see, the islands kind of have an arch now. There's a big wood root arch with plants on it going from island to island. I love it, actually. I've been digging it, and as you can see, the fish continue to move things around, so there's been some adjustments with the wood and everything, but it seems to be settling in more and more and more, and stabilizing, as well as establishing. We all go too fast, right? We expect these tanks to you know, go for being set up and then a month later being established, but in reality it takes 6 months or a year to get really dialed in. But I love this tank, and there was a comment on a recent video where they're saying that the angle made, you know, you can't tell the size. They said it looked like a 100-gallon, you know, instead of a 750, but it's just so hard to show the depth front to back. You know, you've got a lot of big fish in here. In fact, I don't even know if you can see them right now, but there's 2 big true parrots in here. You know, you don't even see them. They're somewhere up. There's one right there. That's the smaller one. There's a larger one, probably in that cave over there. You know, there's 6 full-size angels. There's actually surviving babies from the Acara, so they're in there. They've gotten some size to them, so there's going to be some more Acara that were born right here in Amazonian Islands. There's the other true parrot right there in the middle, and of course we've got a school of there's probably about 48 red-eye tetra. You can kind of see them going across the back. And one of the other things I did add to this tank was a little more water flow. Look up at the top, we got that nice water flow all the way across to the aquarium. And just for those, you know, that don't believe it's 5 feet deep, you know, it really is. It's hard to show when you're looking in there. But I tell you what, when I know on video it's hard to show, but when you're in person, it is sweet. I mean, it is sweet having large cichlids in a community like this with so much aquascaping for them to swim through, and not being forced to have them in an aquarium with minimal aquascaping because you need water volume for the size of the fish. So it's definitely fun to be able to put something together like this that gives these guys the ability to live, you know, more similarly than they would in the wild, act how, you know, they would, you know, more similar to how they would act in the wild. So, and it's that front to back that does, it's you know, the aquascape, it's the quality of the water condition, everything. They're comfortable, they're well fed, but it's also that front to back. You know, they know the amount of space. They know that they have, you know, all this space in the back, so, and they act accordingly. And it's nice to be able to, you know, go right up to a geophagus and he's not worried. Oh, speaking of geophagus, look at those streamers. Those are starting to look beautiful. Okay, let's take a dive in here and see this from the inside. So like the treatment in the other aquariums, the 750 now has a bog filter with water hyacinth, and we have some poppies over here in the 600 gallon. So we are doing the bogs everywhere. The 600 gallon, finally dialing in. This tank took a while, but it is it's coming around. Now you can see I took out the Amazonian swords. Now they're root feeders, and what I really need in here is water column feeders because it's easier for me to dose. This tank is it's big. It's hard to get in there and put root tabs. I have to use the big tongs. You know, the my comically goofy large tongs. And they're not really the look we're going through here. This is the Asian jungle aquarium. So I have ordered more plants for this aquarium. Some very nice stem plants and some grasses. So we're gonna get these sides built up, and we're gonna get some in the back there and some on the right side. So the Asian jungle aquarium will be an Asian jungle aquarium one day. And the other thing I want to point out is in the back. You can see I've added in all that wood in the back, and I'm going to continue that over. So we have the wood added to the middle here, and we're also going to add some more over here and over to the left. So we're going to build the back up. It's going to be all of that Malaysian driftwood all the way across the back. So that's going to be pretty awesome. And again, we've added more water flow, so we put a gyre on the 600 as well, so keeping the aquarium stirred up. And it's a little stirred up. The water is not quite as clear as it normally is because I took out the Amazon swords not long ago. So, but the tank is so much more established now than when it was debuted. Obviously, that it does clear up pretty quick. And you can see that there is growth in the crypts and the Java fern and the Nubis up there, but we really are not going to get that jungle feel until we get those big, tall stem plants coming up and grasses in the back. That's when we're really going to have the Asian jungle. let's put a little food in for these guys. Putting in that food should really show how much more water flow we have with the gyre going, and it's very nice because just kind of spreads the food out everywhere, and these guys are certainly up to the task of tracking it down. We have a lot of fast swimmers and lots of ground crew, so no worries about any of that getting down in there. We've got an army of rainbow sharks that eat that, as well as Panagara and other small barbs that are more than up for the task to get down there and get every little tetracolored tropical granule, you know, from the bottom of the tank. So as you saw a little glimpse of the 3,000 gallon with the true parrot cichlids raising up, I counted 15 babies the other day, and they actually have some size to them. So I'm happy to give them more time to get established in there before I do anything on that. So the 3,000 gallon is just on hold, the revamp of it, until you know, until those babies grow up. I have laid out the new DIY build. Looks like it's going to be 40 inches front to back and 4 feet wide, and I haven't decided on the height, but probably 30 inches tall. So that's gonna, with the bog filter and everything, it's gonna put it in the 300 something gallon range. So we'll figure that out, but that's coming in in an upcoming video. We're gonna get started on that. The difference with this DIY build is I'm gonna go much slower on it, and I'm gonna keep a running total of all the costs. So this is gonna be the video series for if you wanna build a DIY build. This is going to show every single step, not leave anything out, and it's going to keep a running tally of the cost. So at the end, you'll have a real good idea of what goes into a build like that. And I think it's a reasonable size, you know, almost a 4x4 by 30 inches. So, you know, maybe 350, 380 gallons. Let's say between 350 and 400 with including the bog filters. And also, because liners are so expensive for the good ones and the crappy ones are so crappy, I'm actually going to build the sump as well. It'll be a DIY wood epoxy sump build as well. So you're going to see the entire thing built, you know, in a good way DIY, and I'll go ahead and finish the outside. So it'll be a complete build. I've gotten real bad lately about building the tanks and coming back to do the finishing and taking forever, and I haven't not even done it yet on a bunch of tanks. So I'll take it all the way on this one so you can see a completely finished result, including the outside aesthetics as well. Okay, thanks for watching. See you guys soon.